In a stunning and unexpected move, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is making headlines as he leads a fierce charge against Russia in the escalating Ukraine war. Speaking out after the US imposed a massive sanctions package on Russia, Canada has shocked the world with its own set of crippling sanctions, a bold strike directly aimed at President Vladimir Putin and his closest allies. The world's eyes are now on Canada as it takes unprecedented action against one of the most dangerous regimes on the planet. At the heart of this groundbreaking decision lies a powerful message. The West is done playing nice with Vladimir Putin. With peace talks intensifying, the Kremlin had hoped to secure some level of relief through negotiations with the United States. But Canada's aggressive move has flipped the script entirely. This is no longer just a geopolitical conflict. It's a war of wills, and Canada is standing strong, making it clear that Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine will not go unpunished. Trudeau's government has unleashed a tidal wave of sanctions, targeting over 70 individuals and companies with close ties to Putin, including oligarchs, government officials, and Russian military suppliers. But what truly sends shockwaves through the global community is the fact that Canada has gone after the very heart of Putin's power. The sanctions hit his inner circle hard, including his family members, close associates, and key business partners who have financially supported his regime. Figures like Anand Siva, Dmitry Loganov, and Sergei Siv, people deeply embedded in Putin's war machine, are now on Canada's sanctions blacklist. This is a message not just to Putin, but to the entire Kremlin. No one is untouchable. But the sanctions don't stop there. Canada has targeted more than 100 Russian ships involved in smuggling oil, transporting weapons, and supporting the regime's military-industrial complex. From shadow tankers ferrying Russian oil to third countries, to ships carrying deadly weapons from Iran and North Korea, Trudeau's government has thrown a wrench into Putin's operations. These new sanctions include 92 oil tankers, 9 LNG carriers, and 8 ships transporting weapons, an unprecedented strike designed to cripple Putin's war machine and choke off his resources. It's not just about sanctions, it's about sending a clear message that Putin's days of unchecked power are numbered. With these new restrictions, Canada is putting unprecedented pressure on Russia at one of the most critical moments in the war. The hope? That these actions will make it impossible for Putin to gain the upper hand in peace negotiations and force him to make painful concessions. The West is united in its resolve, and this time, Canada is leading the charge. Prime Minister Trudeau has made it clear that Canada will not sit idly by. In a bold statement, he hinted at the possibility of sending Canadian troops to Ukraine to help enforce a potential ceasefire agreement, sending shockwaves through the international community. The idea of Canadian boots on the ground in Ukraine is a drastic escalation, but Trudeau is determined to make sure that Ukraine's sovereignty is defended at all costs. This isn't just about diplomacy. It's about taking action to ensure that Russia doesn't get away with its violent aggression. But Canada's commitment goes far beyond just rhetoric. Trudeau recently pledged an astonishing $5 billion in aid to Ukraine, a pledge that is set to be fulfilled with proceeds from frozen Russian assets. This is a historic moment. Canada is not just talking the talk, but walking the walk, backing Ukraine with the financial and military support it desperately needs. And this is just the beginning. Along with the massive financial aid, Canada has promised to send additional military supplies to Ukraine, including 25 light armored vehicles, 2 armored combat support vehicles, and F-16 flight simulators for Ukrainian forces. This is a full-throttle effort to ensure that Ukraine can defend itself, while simultaneously sending a clear message to the Kremlin that Canada is fully invested in Ukraine's victory. Trudeau's stance is resonating deeply with the Ukrainian government. President Volodymyr Zelensky has openly thanked Canada for its unwavering support, especially for the training of Ukrainian soldiers and the provision of cutting-edge optical technologies for unmanned aerial vehicles. In a time when many Western powers are looking for ways to ease tensions with Russia, Canada has stood firm, doubling down on its commitment to Ukraine. Trudeau's message is clear. Canada will not rest until Putin is held accountable for his crimes and Ukraine's territorial integrity is restored. The global response has been overwhelming. European leaders are rallying around Trudeau's bold stance, with many urging a similar escalation of sanctions against Russia. The UK has joined the charge, calling for tighter restrictions on Russian oil exports and financial institutions that have been helping Putin evade sanctions. Meanwhile, the EU has been expanding its sanctions list, putting even more pressure on Russia to end its illegal occupation of Ukraine. But Trudeau isn't done yet. His leadership has shifted the international conversation. Canada has become one of Ukraine's most vocal and staunch allies on the world stage, urging NATO to take a firmer stand against Russia and ensuring that Ukraine's path to victory remains open. Trudeau has repeatedly called for Ukraine to be granted full membership in NATO, an idea that is gaining traction among European leaders. This is more than just support, it's a call to action to defend the international order that has protected countries from authoritarian aggression for decades. In a world where global power dynamics are shifting, Canada is showing that even a smaller nation can make a significant impact. Trudeau's actions, from the imposition of sanctions to military aid and support for Ukraine, are making waves on the international stage. The world is watching, and Canada is sending a clear message. We will not let Putin rewrite the rules of global diplomacy. The battle for Ukraine's future is far from over, but with Canada at the forefront, the West is standing united and resolute in its commitment to ending Putin's reign of terror once and for all. As this conflict unfolds, one thing is certain: Trudeau's Canada is not backing down. With unwavering support for Ukraine, massive sanctions against Russia, and a clear call for NATO action, Canada is playing a pivotal role in shaping the future of global security. The war in Ukraine may have reached a critical juncture, but with leaders like Trudeau, the world is sending a united message. The fight for democracy, sovereignty, and peace will never cease.